So the last category is combined radicals, fractional exponents, level 2. So it's the same thing as the last section, except level 2. So let me screenshot this. And I'll just be honest, I'm not exactly sure why they wanted us to write, let me show you, the product of A, B, and C into our answer box instead of just having us put this in. I'm not quite sure why, but since that is what we are being asked for, we are going to find the product of A, B, and C. Okay, so let me write that down here. Put the product of A, B, C. Okay, so just to remind us, it says, what is the product of A, B, and C? Where A is the coefficient, B is your x's exponent, and C is your y's exponent. Okay, so let's convert everything into exponential form and then see where we go from there. So in the beginning, okay, let me see, where do I have space? I'll just write it over here, I guess. In the beginning, we have a 4. We have x squared. So far, so good. Y to the power of 1/2. So far, so good. Okay, and then now all of this is inside a radical. So that radical is going to be my parentheses. Inside of that, I'm going to put x to the power of 4 y squared because that's what's inside our radical. And this is a square root. So that means it's 1/2. So that square root, I turned it into a 1/2 exponent. And then all the stuff that was inside that square root went inside the parentheses. And then now we can take the 1/2 on the outside of the parentheses and distribute it to everything inside the parentheses. So not to the stuff in the front, not to the 4x squared y to the power 1/2, because that's not inside our parentheses. We only want to distribute the 1/2 to the stuff inside our parentheses. So let me rewrite the front part, the 4x squared y to the power 1/2. Okay, so I rewrote that. And then when we take the 1/2 exponent and we distribute it to x to the power of 4, we get x to the power of 4 multiplied by 1/2. And then when we take that 1/2 and we distribute it to the y squared, I'm going to get y squared multiplied by 1/2. And then let's simplify. So let me scoot it over a little bit, like that, so I have more space. I'm just going to rewrite this again, the 4x squared y to the power of 1/2. I'm not really touching that yet. Let's simplify x to the power of 4 times 1/2. So 4 times 1/2, this is 4 over 1 times 1 over 2. So you can multiply it straight across, and you can also simplify before you multiply it across. And in this case, I'm just going to simplify first because I've already shown how to multiply straight across. So we have, can you see it? Like, do I need to zoom in? There. Okay, so for the 4 over 1 and the 1 over 2, the 4 and the 2 can cancel each other out, making the 4 into a 2 and the 2 into a 1. So 4 divided by 2 became 2 over 1. And then now we can multiply straight across. So for 2 times 1 on the top gives us 2. And on the bottom, 1 times 1 gives us 1. So it's 2 over 1. Now I need more space, so I'm going to scoot it like that. And then we have our y's. That 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1. So multiplying it straight across, we can do that. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And then we need to simplify a bit further. I'm going to simplify it right under here, I guess. 4x squared y to the power of 1/2. The x to the power of 2 over 1, that's just x squared. 2 over 1 is just 2. And then the y to the power of 2 over 2, that's just y to the power of 1. Okay, I know there's a lot of stuff going on here, so I'm going to pause it for a moment and then see if anyone has any questions up till this point. We're not done yet, but just giving you guys some time. All right, so I'm going to continue the work on this spot just because it's where I have space. So I'm going to group the, okay, let me just write the 4 first. And then now I'm going to group the x's. So I got x squared and another x squared. I'm just going to write them out first. And then I have a y to the power 1/2 and a y to the power 1. So all I did here was just reorder it so that the x's are together and the y's are together. And then from here, well, we can see a little bit more clearly what's happening. We have two pieces of x's that are being multiplied together. So that means our exponents get to be added, 2 plus 2. And then for this piece, they are also being multiplied together, so the y's get their exponents added as well. Okay, so we're just going to add up those exponents. The 4 just stays in the front. Okay, 2 plus 2 is 4. Nice and easy. And then the 1/2 plus 1. Okay, so 1/2 plus 1. That one is, I will write it up here because I am running out of space. So 1 is the same thing as 1/1, but we need it to be over 2 so that it has the same denominator. I'm going to multiply it by 2 on the top and bottom so that what we end up with is 1/2 plus 2/2. So 1/2 plus 1 is the same thing as 1/2 plus 2/2. And then that would end up being, you add it straight across, 1 plus 2 is 3, and it's 3/2. So then this is y to the power of 3/2. Okay, so we finally simplified this entire starting thing into being 4x to the power 4, y to the power of 3/2. Are there any questions up till here? All right, one more step. Remember, they want the product of A, B, and C in our answer box for some weird reason. So let me highlight our A, B, and C. Our A is the 4 in the front because it's the number in the front is our coefficient. Our B is x's exponent right over there. And then our C is y's exponent. So these three numbers that I just highlighted, the 4, and the 3 halves, we want their product. So we're going to multiply them, and that's what we're going to be putting in our answer box. Why? I don't know, but we're going to do that. So what is 4 times 4 times 3 halves? Okay. So let's see, for the 4 times 3 halves, I'm going to focus in on these two. I was trying to think of how to point, and then I realized I couldn't point, so I circled it. So focusing in on those two, I'm going to make that 4/1, and then still focusing in on this 2. I'm going to cross simplify, so the 4 becomes a 2, and that 2 becomes a 1. So then we can multiply all of this by doing it all the way across. So if that first 4 is a 4/1, where do I have space? My gosh. There we go. So since that first one is a 4/1, the second number is now a 2/1, and then the third number is a 3/1. Just multiply it all the way across. 4 times 2 times 3. So multiplying it across the top. 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. And then on the bottom is 1 times 1 times 1, so it's 24/1. So the number is just 24. So our product of A, B, and C is 24. Okay, I'm going to pause the video again just to see if you guys have questions. Okay, let's do another few problems. So the same thing, we're going to simplify that mess and then write the product of A, B, and C. So let's first simplify this mess. I'm going to see if there's a better place for me to start writing. I don't know. I guess the format of like the white space I have isn't really that great, but I will try to start writing over here. So 2x to the power of -5 halves, y to the power of 3. So on top, everything's in exponential form already, so that's great. On the bottom, things are in radical form. So I'm going to change that radical to the exponent that I know it is. This is a square root, so that's the power of 1/2. So on the inside of our power of 1/2, I'm just going to put 4x cubed y. Okay, So far all I did was change the radical on the bottom, the square roots. I changed that to an exponent of 1/2. And now we can distribute that 1/2 into everything inside the parentheses. So I'm just going to keep the top the same. So 2x to the power of -5 over 2y cubed. It just stays the same. We're not touching it yet. And then we have 4 to the power of 1/2, and then x to the power of 3 multiplied by 1/2, and then y to the power of, technically that's a y to the power of 1 multiplied by 1/2. I'll just write it out as 1 times 1/2 for now, but we know what that is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so that it's not so tiny. Okay, once again, keep the top the same. We're not touching it yet. And then on the bottom, okay, let's start with the 4 to the power of 1/2. 4 to the power of 1/2 is literally just the square root of 4, which is 2. So I'm going to put a 2 there. So the 4 to the power of 1/2, I just simplified it to 2. Now we can look at the x to the power of 3 times 1/2. 3 is the same thing as 3 over 1. So when you multiply it straight across, it's 3 times 1 on the top, and then 1 times 2 on the bottom. So it's x to the power of 3/2. And then for the y, we have 1 times 1/2, which is just 1/2. 1 times anything is just the anything. So now we have the top part, I never changed it. And on the bottom, the 4 to the power of 1/2 changed to x to the power of 3 times 1/2 became x to the power of 3/2. And then y to the power of 1 times 1/2 became y to the power of 1/2. Okay, scooting it out so I have more space. Okay, and so here's where we can do our simplifying. So first of all, let's take a look at our coefficients. 2 over 2, that's the same thing as 1. I'm just going to put a 1 in the front. That's going to be our new coefficient. So 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. And then let's take a look at the x's. They have the same base, but they're being divided, which means we're going to subtract top minus bottom exponent. So the top exponent is -5/2 minus the bottom exponent is 3/2. And then I'm just going to start writing a little bit more slanted here so that it all fits. But then for our y's, same thing. It's being divided. So you do top exponent minus bottom exponent. So 3, which is the one on the top, minus 1/2. So we have 1 as our new coefficient. Then the x's, we subtract top minus bottom exponents. Then for the y's, we subtract top minus bottom exponent also. Okay, before we simplify, are there any questions? Okay, so let's simplify this. I'm just going to write it over here. So the 1, I'm just going to keep writing number 1. And then for the x, okay, when we do -5/2 minus 3/2, luckily for us, they are already sharing the same denominator. So I don't need to rewrite it. So it's still going to be over 2. And then we can just subtract across the top. -5 minus 3 gives us -8. And then, same thing for the y's. We're going to subtract 3 minus 1/2. So technically this is 3 over 1 minus 1/2. And unfortunately this time they do not have the same denominator. So let me rewrite it. 3 over 1 minus 1/2. So I just kind of rewrote it up there because that's where I got space. And we want it to have the same denominator, and we can make it to have a denominator of 2 by multiplying the 3 over 1 by 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. That would give us 6 over 2 minus 1/2. And now that they have the same denominator, we can subtract just straight across the top. 6 minus 1 is 5, and the bottom stays as 2. So that means y to the power of 3 over 1 minus 1/2. I'm going to rewrite that as y to the power of 5 over 2. Almost done. Let's simplify again. So 1, I'm just going to write it as a 1. X to the power of -8 over 2, that's simplifiable. -8 divided by 2 is just -4. And the y to the power of 5/2 is already simplified. So this would be our final ax to the power b, y to the power of c form. But remember, we are not putting this into the answer box. Delta Math, for some reason, wants the product of a, b, and c. So let me highlight our a, b, and c so that we know what we're multiplying. Our a is the number in front, so that's the 1. Our b's are exponent of the x, so that's -4. C is the exponent of the y, so that's 5/2. So those are the 3 numbers we're going to multiply and then put into our answer box. So I'm going to write over here 1 times -4 times 5/2. So when we're multiplying this, -4 and the 2, that can actually cancel out like that, because 4 divided by 2 is the same thing as 2. So I just canceled out that part, and then we can just multiply across now. We have 1 times -2 times 5. So 1 times -2 times 5, which gives us -10. So this is our product of a, b, and c, and we can put that into our answer box. Any questions? And I guess I'll just zoom out. And -10. And let's just do one more. So similar to the last problem, I guess. Once again, we want the product of a, b, and c. We're not just going to write the final simplified form. We actually just want the product of a, b, and c. Just reminding you, because I know it's a little bit confusing why they're asking for that. I still don't know, but yep. So let's rewrite everything on the top space. I guess it was a little bit better spaced out. We're going to turn everything into having being an exponential form. So the bottom part of the fraction, I can keep it the same. So we have a 3x to the power of 6y on the bottom, but the top part has a radical. So I'm going to change that radical to its exponential form. Since it is a square root, that is a 1/2 exponent. And on the inside, we still have x to the power of 4, y to the power of 4. And then we're going to distribute that exponent of 1/2 into everything inside the parentheses. So we get x to the power of 4 times 1/2, and then y to the power of 4 times 1/2 on the top. And then on the bottom, we just keep it the same. Okay. Now simplifying the top some more, we have 4 times 1/2. 4 is the same thing as 4/1. So 4/1 times 1/2, that would give us 4/2. And then same thing for the y. Y is 4 times 1/2 as well. Remember, that's 4/1. So 4 times 1 on the top is 4. 1 times 2 on the bottom is 2. And we keep the bottom the same so far. Simplifying again, we have x to the power of 4/2. 4/2 is just 2. So we have x squared. And same thing for y. They have the same exponents, so it's also y squared. Okay. So let's get it out of fraction form into like this form, which is not fraction. So let me take a look at what is the number in front of the x. Wow, I did not know how that became a diamond. Yeah, that's what I want. I just wanted the number 1 there. So I put a 1 there because whenever you don't see a coefficient, it's technically a 1 being multiplied. So we have a 1x squared, y squared, and then on the bottom we have 3x6y. So let's take a look at what our a value is. Our a value is going to be our coefficient, and technically we have a 1 on the top and a 3 on the bottom. Our a value is 1/3. So where do I have space for that? I guess here, I'm just going to write 1/3 right there. So since we have a 1 on the top, 3 on the bottom, our a value is 1/3. Now let's deal with our x. So we have x squared on top, x to the power of 6 on bottom. So we want top minus bottom, 2 minus 6. Same thing for the y's. We have y squared on the top, y to the power of technically 1 on the bottom. So we want top minus bottom, 2 minus 1. So we have 1/3 x 2 minus 6, and then y to the power 2 minus 1. So keep the 1/3. 2 minus 6 is -4. 2 minus 1 is just 1. Finally, to get our product of a, b, and c, remember a is the number in front, so that's 1/3. B is our exponent of x, so that's -4. C is our exponent of y, so that's 1. So those are the three numbers we're multiplying together. So we have 1/3, -4, and 1. So just going to rewrite that as a fraction. I'm just going to rewrite all of them as a fraction. Why not? So when you multiply, you just multiply straight across the top, straight across the bottom. Across the top, we have 1 times -4 times 1. That's just -4. On the bottom, we have 3 times 1 times 1. That is just 3. So this is our final answer, -4/3. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here and see if you guys have questions. All right, and so that was 3 examples from each of the categories. Hopefully you were already able to get started, but I'm going to stop the video here. Just call me over into your breakout rooms if you have more questions.